Hey guys, Ed from Paranormal Link, Ohio here, back at it again with another podcast episode. Guys, tonight's podcast episode is going to be about Satanic Panic. And Satanic Panic was huge in the 80s and the 90s. Coming off the 60s of the Manson family and the killing spree that they went on and killing all those people, into the 80s and the 90s, to where it was almost like the Salem witch trials, which the Salem witch trials, it was like somebody would say you're a witch, well, then you're a witch, and then you're burned at the stake or crushed with a rock or killed somehow. Same thing happened. They would say you're a Satanist or you worship the devil, you're getting falsely imprisoned, or you're just being murdered. And it fueled a lot of fire during those years. And I mean, it's still kind of at, here today, but not as bad. I mean, Geraldo Rivera, he did a whole documentary on satanic beliefs and the devil's coming, and it was the most highly rated thing in, like, I think it was 1988. And I believe he even talked to Ozzy Osbourne on his show, and Ozzy flat out said, he's like, I don't make this music for people to hurt themselves or go hurt other people. He goes, I'm merely expressing myself in my music. And I get that, and I totally agree with Ozzy on that. And it's the same thing with Manson, Marilyn Manson. For years in the 90s, everybody was like, everything bad was because of him. And he was a Satan worshiper and all this other stuff. And if he was, he was. And yes, he ended up being a very bad dude. Like, for the court cases that are coming up now, whether it be real or not, if the allegations are true, then the man is pure evil. If they're not true, then, the accusers are pure evil. I don't know what to believe in it. I was a Marilyn Manson fan for many, many years, and once I heard of the rapes and the things that he was doing, I kind of backpedaled and kind of went away from it because, if he is, that's wrong. Like, that's super wrong. So it goes into the whole thing, like, do you believe the mainstream media, or do you believe what the person's saying? And that is kind of like what happened with Satanic Panic, because the mainstream media was just boosting this stuff so much that it was scaring the crap out of people, and they were just believing it, and it was insane. The West Memphis Three in the 90s, they had zero evidence on these three people. Zero evidence that they was even involved in this murder. But they spent 18 years in prison. 18 years in prison. They was released in 2011. 18 years. Exonerated by DNA that wasn't even theirs. And in the 90s, we could have ran the DNA. But they were so into this because they were goth. They were gothic. They listened to heavy metal. They did this. They did that. And the Satanic Panic was huge back then. And so they were falsely accused, and they were convicted. And they held their innocence the entire time they were in prison, and they were finally released because they did not have the evidence on them. So these people spent 18 years in prison for a murder that they did not commit, because the police were so fast to throw judgment on them because of the way they dressed and what they listened to. While the real killer he never went to prison. They were so fast to blame these guys that they did it. Look at them. Listen to what they listen to. They did it. They're Satanists. And the mainstream media had it so huge that people were just eating it up and buying it, and they convicted them. A jury convicted them with no evidence. It just absolutely boggles my mind. And there was a lot of daycare centers that they were saying were doing bad things to children, and they were killing children. So they were indicted, arrested, and they were put in prison from false accusations, from children that were coerced into saying things from the authorities, the police officers, or even the judicial system, like the judges and stuff like that. And for what reason, I have no idea. I have no idea. And it just kept going and going and going. And it was like, they turn around, you're a Satanist, you're dead. Well, then you got Anton LaVey, who created the Satanic Bible and his Church of Satan, which is just LaVey Satanism is almost like self-gratification. You're worshiping yourself, and whatever is pleasurable couldn't be a sin because it feels good. So they hold lots of mass orgies, sacrifices, and that's just what I've heard. And the book, the Satanic Bible, pretty much teaches you just how to worship yourself. And how if it feels good, do it. It can't be bad. It can't be a sin. It can't be wrong. And how pretty much that Satan and God are not one and the same, but it's like flip-flopped. Like, Satan's good and God is bad. I mean, that's just what my take of it was. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. And I don't hate on anybody that wants to leave, comments like, hey, you're wrong, yada, yada, yada. Everybody has their own opinion. And when you're on my podcast and you're here, it is a safe place for anybody to say anything. So this is just my interpretation of it. So Anton LaVey was getting all these people together, and he made a Church of Satan. They're having orgies. They're doing stuff that people see like the so-called normal people. And I say it like that. I mean, I threw up some air quotes. I know you can't see them, but I threw them up because these so-called normal people who would point the fingers and be like, oh, they're evil, they're Satanists, they worship Satan, they do all this stuff, and they do all that stuff. No, the only difference between the people that were doing it and that were talking about it and saying that they did it is they did it, and they didn't care if people knew. The people that are pointing the fingers, they do it behind closed doors. They do it, in the privacy of their own home. So, like, and it was proven that tons and tons of people then were swingers. It still happens today. Swingers. You go to a swingers party and everybody just has a huge orgy. They sleep with whoever they want to sleep with. And these people are, so-called normal people. But they hide it. The Church of Satan members, which I'm not defending anybody. This is just my outlook on it. And if I hurt anybody's feelings, or if I have said anything to upset you, I am truly sorry. That is not that is not what I want to do. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to hurt anyone. I'm not looking to piss anybody off. This is just my opinion on it. So, but the Church of Satan members that were doing this, and the so-called Satanists or whatever, they did this stuff, and, they just admitted that they did it, but everybody else would lie about it. Oh, there's no way I could do that. I mean, look at Epstein and Epstein's Island and how they were selling children to these movie stars, these politicians. And he had his own island dedicated to child rape. They were selling kids an IKEA furniture, for God's sake. And then, when he gets arrested and goes to prison, he hangs himself or he's murdered in his cell and nobody... Come on now. That man was hushed. Because a lot of important people, so-called normal important people, was on that list of going and doing these things with children. And that's just pure evil. 100% pure evil. So, I just don't get it. People are so quick to look at these people that, dress differently or act differently, or they're just being themselves and they're evil. They're just evil. They're Satanists. They need to go to jail or they need to be killed. But you got movie stars that people love, musicians that people love, politicians that people love, government officials that people love, that do this horrible thing to children, and not a damn word is said. Not a single word. They go on TV, yeah, they're ranting and they're raving and they're pissed and everything, but the whole Epstein trial, the whole Epstein thing, was only televised for X amount of time, not even very long. And once he was dead, it was all over with, and it was like everything was just shoved under the rug. But this Satanic Panic, went on to the 1980s, the 1990s, and it still kind of goes on today. So I just can't understand how people can say one thing and then and here's another thing. People will point things out like he does this and he does that, or she does this and she does that. She's evil. When you know damn good and well that they go back and do it themselves. And hypocrites. And I can't stand that. And I just think some innocent people, and I'm not defending Satanists, and especially the carnival cult killers. We just did an episode last week about it, or the last episode was that. And those people were truly messed up individuals. They were very evil. They loved to kill, and they loved to do everything that they thought Satan was going to give them powers for. And just to come down to it, they were 2-bit bullies that wanted to just kill because they got off on it. Now those people deserve to burn in hell. They deserve to be in prison for what they did. But the West Memphis 3, they never deserved a day of any of that happened to them. Or many of the multitudes of murders that happened around the United States during the Satanic Panic because people were so-called Satanists, or they worship Satan, or they worship the devil. And people just said, you're a Satanist, so guess what? They got snubbed out. Or they were falsely accused, they were arrested, and then they were put in prison for years. There are some people still serving life sentences for being accused of this stuff during them times. And they're still there. Now, did they do it? I don't know. I wasn't there. Do I think they did it? Some of them I don't think they did it. Some of them I think they did do it. Now, that doesn't give the right for them to say, oh, I don't deserve to be in prison because they said I'm a Satanist and that hurts my feelings. No, dude, if you screwed up and did something horrible and killed somebody or raped somebody, then your ass deserves to be behind bars. I did. I worked in a prison, and I had an inmate tell me one time, we run this prison, and it's not fair. It's not fair that they do this to me. It's not fair that they do this to us. And I looked at him, I said, well, it wasn't fair that you raped and killed all those women. You took daughters, sisters, mothers away from families. You didn't care about that. You didn't care about how they felt. So I don't buy it, and I just don't buy that stuff. Like, I just don't like it. And I didn't work in the prison system for very long because I couldn't stand to see these people that actually killed people or hurt children in horrible ways, and then just sit there and cry and complain, and then the state gave them whatever they wanted. So I can't stand it that these people were wrongfully convicted, all because they were different in their own way. It was definitely one of the saddest moments in American history. Right up there with the Salem witch trials. Yes, the Salem witch trials were brutal. A lot of people, innocent women, innocent men were killed. A lot. And it was just pretty much the same thing. They killed some of them, but if not, they put them in prison for the rest of their lives with no evidence of any crime. And it's all because of mass hysteria, because the mainstream media said that yada, 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 this was happening, so you need to not trust this person, and blah, blah, blah. And then it just spiraled out of control, shit hit the fan, and everybody just pretty much got screwed. And again, I'm not saying that every one of these people that were convicted didn't commit the crime. I can't say if they did or if they didn't, because I wasn't there. But do I think the justice system failed? Yes. Do I think that the authorities were quick to judgment and was just like, well, they're doing this, they're Satanists, so they got to be guilty? Yes. Do I think some things were moved around into falsifying evidence and doing things like that? Yes. And I believe there were some corrupt things going on. And some innocent people lost their lives, and some innocent people went to prison. But also at the same time, there was ritualistic killings that was going on. And so I can see where it would be hard to not think that every Satanist or every person that supposedly is a Satanist wouldn't be a horrible, evil person. So I just think it was just a horrible time in American history. And anytime anybody's killed is a horrible time. And it's just crazy. I don't know. It was just a bad time in American history. So that was some of the things that I wanted to talk about with the Satanic Panic. Because I know when I did last episode about the carnival cult killers, it was during that time. So I wanted to give you guys some more into the whole Satanic Panic part of the Satanic Panic. It was bad, man. If you watched horror movies, you were a devil worshiper. If you listened to rock music, you were a devil worshiper. If you drank or did drugs, you were a devil worshiper. If you looked different, dressed different, you were a devil worshiper. It didn't matter. It pretty much was, if you don't fit in the mold, then you was a devil worshiper and you had to be taken care of. 100% is what it was. So I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's episode. We'll be back tomorrow night with another episode. We will also be live tomorrow night on Facebook. And I love each and every single one of you. And I cannot tell you enough how much I thank you guys for the love and support. And you guys will hear from me tomorrow night. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. Bye, everyone.